June 1982. Deep in the Siberian wilderness, the night sky turns white. A fireball, 3 kilotons, a fifth of Hiroshima, tears out of a natural gas pipeline. American satellites catch the flash from orbit, and more than 40 years later, no one can prove it ever happened. The story goes like this. The CIA hid a weapon inside a piece of software, a single hidden command, a logic bomb, and used it to blow up the Soviet Union's most important pipeline without firing a shot. It's been called the most successful cyber attack in history. There is just one problem. The entire story traces back to one man's memoir. To understand it, you have to go back to the Cold War's quietest battlefield. By the late 1970s, the Soviet Union was falling behind the West in technology, so it stopped trying to invent and started to steal. An entire KGB division, Directorate T, ran a global network of spies called Line X. Their only job was to steal Western machines, microchips, and blueprints, and they were frighteningly good at it. Then, in 1981, one man broke. Colonel Vladimir Vetrov, 52 years old, an engineer sitting deep inside Directorate T, had grown to despise the system he served. Quietly, he began photographing its secrets. Over the following months, he passed nearly 4,000 classified documents to French intelligence. They gave him a code name, Farewell. What Vetrov handed over was staggering. The complete shopping list of everything the Soviets were racing to steal from the West. The names of 250 Line X officers hidden inside embassies around the world. For the first time, the West could see exactly what the KGB wanted next, and exactly who was coming to take it. The French passed all of it to the Americans. And inside the CIA, an economist named Gus Weiss had a dangerous idea. Don't arrest the spies. Don't seal the leak. Do the opposite. Let them keep stealing. But make sure that everything they take is quietly, invisibly broken. In January 1982, he carried the plan to CIA Director William Casey. Casey said yes. One target sat right at the top of the Soviet wish list. Computer control software to automate their new trans-Siberian gas pipeline. The pipeline that would sell natural gas to Europe and earn the USSR billions in hard currency. The United States refused to sell it. So the KGB did what it always did. It sent an agent into a company in Canada to steal the software instead. But this time, the Americans knew they were coming. Before the software ever reached Soviet hands, the CIA had rewritten it. On the surface, it worked perfectly. It ran the pumps, the turbines, the valves, flawlessly for months. Long enough for every engineer to trust it completely. And then, on a hidden schedule, it turned. It quietly reset the pump speeds and the valve settings, driving the pressure far beyond anything the pipeline's welds and joints could ever hold. What followed, they say, was the largest non-nuclear explosion ever seen from space. It detonated in empty wilderness, so no one was killed. And when Soviet investigators realized the software itself had been sabotaged, the KGB was furious and completely silent. To protest would mean admitting they had stolen it in the first place. It is a perfect story, bloodless, brilliant. The West beating the East with a few lines of code. It has been retold in books, articles, and documentaries for 20 years. And that is exactly why it deserves a harder question, one almost nobody stops to ask. Is any of it actually true? Follow the story back to its source, and it collapses to a single point. A 2004 memoir called At the Abyss, written by Thomas Reed, a former official in the Reagan administration. No declassified file describes the blast. No satellite image has ever been released. No United States intelligence agency has ever confirmed it happened. The most famous cyber attack in history rests on one man's word, and the people who are actually in the Soviet Union tell a very different story. A KGB veteran confirmed that yes, a Siberian pipeline did rupture in 1982 near the town of Tobolsk, but it was not sabotage. It was poor construction. Another account is even more ordinary. An engineer found a gas leak, kept raising the pressure to keep the flow going until the growing cloud was set off by the spark of a passing train. No logic bomb, no CIA, just a bad day on a badly built pipeline. So why won't the legend die? Because it is too good to check. It flatters everyone who repeats it, and there is just enough truth underneath to keep it standing. Because the farewell operation itself was completely, provably real. The CIA really did feed the Soviets sabotage technology, flawed microchips, faulty turbine designs, blueprints engineered to fail. And that program worked. Soviet factories built machines that broke. Their engineers hunted for defects that had been designed on purpose. The paranoia alone was devastating. Once you know your stolen technology might be poisoned, you can no longer trust any of it. The pipeline fireball may be a myth, but the sabotage campaign that inspired it absolutely was not. And the man who started it all never saw how his secrets were used. In 1982, Vladimir Vetrov was arrested, not for spying, but after a violent personal encounter. Behind bars, his betrayal was uncovered. In 1985, Farewell was executed. He had handed the West one of the great intelligence coups of the entire Cold War, and died before he could ever learn what it became. So did the CIA blow up a Soviet pipeline with a single line of code? Maybe. Or maybe it is the Cold War telling a flattering story about itself, one narrator at a time. The truth is out there in a Siberian forest, buried under 40 years of snow and secrecy, inside a file that no one has ever fully opened. If the full truth of Farewell is ever declassified, it breaks here first. Subscribe and decide for yourself, history or legend.